Members, we now move to the Plumbers, Gasfitters and Drainlayers Amendment Bill. The question is that Part 1 stand part. This is debate on Clause 4. Call Raymond Ho.
Tēnā koe, Mr. Chair, and good afternoon to all parliamentary colleagues. I enjoyed the urgency session, and as I always do, I'm not quite sure whether... Of course it's Tuesday, and and of course it's Tuesday because it's urgency session, and I'm not quite sure whether we will carry on to Friday or Saturday, but if we will, it will be more exciting. Just imagine a group of parliamentarians engaged in the kind of affairs, but the quality and the fair debate on Plumbers Bill on a Saturday for the purpose of protecting the public safety and all other good things associated with this particular bill. To the Minister for Building and Construction, the Honourable Maurice Williamson's surprise, I did read his second reading speech. I was not in the House when the bill received its second reading because I was overseas as part of the Prime Minister's business delegation. 3 or 4 people from the sector, probably 3 because one of the emails was sent twice, believed or decided that I should read the Minister's speech. So they sent the speech note to me by email, and I did. Juggling between functions, events or meetings, I did read the Minister's speech, and I enjoy it. There are merits in his speech, and on that basis I should acknowledge that the issues or problems around the Plumbers, Gasfitters or Drainlayers board and the entire sector are historical. So the issues or problems are not necessarily associated with one particular board or one particular minister, and I believe that is a fair comment. And fairness or a lack of fairness is one of the reasons why the sector or a significant number of tradespeople from that sector have taken the case so far, and many of the tradespeople in the sector have chosen to oppose the bill. I should congratulate the Campbell Live team. Its television show Politics of Plumbing picked up some interesting points that I did not pick up. The confession from me is that I did not pick up the show and I did not watch that television show until yesterday afternoon, until a group of people again from the sector decided that I should watch the show because my mind was directed to some other issues and some other bills, so I did not follow the development of this particular bill that closely. The show addressed some interesting but important issues. First of all, who are the cowboys? One of the purposes of this bill is to ensure that the Plumbers, Gasfitters and Drainlayers board is properly funded to carry out its statutory duty in order to protect the public safety and health. And in order to carry out its statutory duty, including the board's prosecution function, it must be funded or funded it in some way. Nobody would argue against it. Nobody would disagree with that. But who are the cowboys? Yes, there are a number of untrained, unregistered and unlicensed tradespeople in the sector. But if we look a little bit deeper into this particular issue concerning this particular bill, the matter is not that clear-cut. Regarding the so-called cowboys, in no way I would defend for cowboys if they are genuine cowboys, but Mr. Chairman, among the tradespeople in the sector, a number of good, competent and skilled tradespeople like Mr. Alan Day, as presented in the television show, have chosen to boycott what they called as unlawful levies, fees, or in whatever form, or borrow the Ombudsman's word of a new form of tax. They have chosen to boycott because what the board had been doing, Mr. Chair, thank you, Mr. Chair. They have chosen to boycott because what the board had been doing was against the law. And this bill is to validate the board's unlawful action and to make, exactly as Honourable Ruth Dyson said, to make it retrospectively what is unlawful lawful. If retrospective, ultra-virus or validation are too much of a legal jargon, simply watching the Campbell Life show, Politics of Plumbing. Now, where there is a breach of law by the tradespeople, there is a prosecution from the board and by the board, and that the entire sector has been asked or is being asked to fund the prosecution. But where there is a breach of law by the board, we have now a Minister for Building and Construction is trying to ran through the legislation and the urgency session to validate retrospectively what was unlawful lawful. And that is exactly why we're asked here to why we're asked to be here to debate on a bill that has been rushed through under the urgency session. And secondly, Mr. Chairman, the information made available to the Select Committee was shocking. In 2001, the costs to relicense for two trades, I'm not quite sure what kind of two trades, can be Gasfitters or Drainlayers or Plumbers, but in 2001, the costs to relicense for two trades was around $50 and $75 for 3 licenses, but today, a 5-year license configured around the board's regime costs $10,000. $10,000, according to the information made available to the Select Committee. So many of the tradespeople employed or self-employed had no choice, exactly as Mr. Little said, they had no choice but to pass on the costs to consumers. Many cannot afford it, and some have chosen to boycott and therefore become unregistered, unlicensed, and therefore be nicknamed as cowboys. So the same 5-year license in Australia costs only $330. It is no wonder why losing quality tradespeople to Australia and why our housing prices are getting higher and higher. I welcome and urge the Minister to rebut the claim. But what is more scary and should cause more concerns is that sooner or later, if we let the sector carry on under the leadership of the Minister, under the leadership of the board, sooner or later to get a plumber, gas fitter, or a drainlayer to your doorstep is as expensive as that to instruct a lawyer. Mr. Chairman, I feel so sorry for the Minister for Building and Construction, the Honourable Maurice Williamson, who is one of the most experienced and longest-serving MPs in New Zealand. But watching him on Campbell Life show and watching his picture, being framed in the toilet stool, I feel saddened. I felt saddened when I watched the television show yesterday, and I'm still feeling saddened. Although politics is not designed for faint-hearted or thin-skinned, this is a not good look for his national-led government supported by the Act and by Mr. Peter Dunn. And this reflects to a large extent the level of frustration of the sector. And again, Mr. Chairman, I feel saddened because it's not good look for the Minister, it's not good look for the government, and it is not good look for all politicians. And again, this reflects to a large extent the level of frustration of the sector. And this is one of the main reasons why Labour find it harder to support this bill. And in my subsequent contributions, I'd like to touch upon some details in this bill. And thank you, Mr. Chairman.
I call Holly Walker.
Chair, well, this is